Hello everyone, this is Etho, and I have a new tutorial for you today. This is going to be a follow-up for my original 4-way Mobavator, which has been broken by the recent beta 1.6 patch. In this tutorial I'm going to teach you how you can fix it easily if you've built one of my 4-way Mobavators before and it's been broken. I'm also going to teach you how to build the new one from scratch, how to set it up with multiple levels, and how to set it up to work for passive mobs, and also how to build one by one 4-way Mobavators as well. So this contraption in front of you is the 4-way Mobavator. Let's go take another look at it at a different view. So here's another view of the 4-way Mobavator at the surface. Here you can see I'm using it to transport the mobs upward, down from my spawning pads to a killing mechanism, and that's so I can collect the loot here at the surface without having to go down to my spawning pads. And you don't see any spiders in this thing because my spawning pads don't spawn any spiders, but it does work with spiders as well. Everyone who has built my original 4-way Mobavator will find that it no longer functions properly since the beta 1.6 patch. Spiders will get clogged at the base, and also the tall mobs, zombies, skeletons, and creepers. Although they will still be able to go up it, it will take them slightly longer to go up. The reason for that is because the diagonal streams here have become still water from the patch. The reason for that is if you place a source block there and a water source block here, it creates a new water source block at the V here. Before the patch, this didn't happen if the water was on top of signs or pressure plates or anything like that. And you can see even after the patch, these diagonal streams still are there, but it doesn't matter because as soon as you or a mob passes through them, they become still water because it causes the block to update. If you have one of my original 4-way Mobavators built in your world and you need to fix it for the beta 1.6 patch, two of my viewers, Bohnmeal and Kasfexr, came up with a very quick and easy solution to the problem. Simply remove the diagonal water streams. Then remove these corner blocks on both sides and place your water source on top, and it fixes the problem. And do it for this one as well. And it will suck the spiders in properly when you do that, as well as the other mobs. Very nice and simple solution. Then you can cover this up if you'd like to regain that one square that mobs can spawn on. Since my tutorial for the original 4-way Mobavator no longer works, I'll teach you how to build this new version from scratch. We're going to assume that these soil things here are our spawning pads for the mobs. So the first thing we're going to do is build this glass thing here. I saved the original. You build it 2 off the ground and at the corners here. And you build it as high as you want to transport the mobs upward. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to place signs 1, 2, 3, 4 blocks from the corner on both sides. for all 4 directions. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposite side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Opposite side again. And 1, 2, 3, 4. You will need lots of signs to build this 4-way Mobavator. Once we do that, we can dig down directly below the signs and to the left and to the right. Do that for all 4. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to place our stairs. They're going to be facing towards the center here. Do it for all 4 directions. And the point of these signs and these stairs is so that we can join our water canals without having any dead zones. Okay, the next thing we're going to do, we're going to make a V out of signs here. In order to place a sign above this sand block here, we're going to have to place a sign on a sign, which is done by clicking on the very side of one of these signs. And then we do it for the other opposite side diagonally. If you want, you can make them balanced out, but it makes no difference. Next, we're going to take this soil block out above these V's that we made on each side, diagonally from each other. And then we're going to place 2 more signs for each of these. One to the left, one to the right. For the other side, left, right. And we're going to have water above this soil block here and this one here. For these 2 other corners, the one on the left here and the right here, we're going to do something very similar to what we have here. We're going to make another V on each of them, except it's going to be 1 block off the ground. So put one on the left and one on the right, and then we'll do the sign on the sign again to make it floating. And we do it for this one as well. And this just holds the water in place the way we need it to be. Just like that. Okay. Now you'll see when we place the water, it stays in place like we need it to. And it brings the mobs to the center point here. Now that we've done all that, the base of our 4-way Mobavator is set up the way we want it to be, so the water currents are all correct. So we can go ahead and start filling the Mobavator itself with the solid water source blocks. I recommend creating an infinite water pool nearby, such as directly below. Now you'll notice if we place water here, it doesn't fall down because this sign is here, but it leaks out over here and also over here. So in order to stop that, we need to place one sign here, opposite diagonally of this one here, and same with over here. So now when we place water, it stays in place. So just the first layer is important that we do that so that the water doesn't spill down and interrupt the flow pattern in these things here. Okay, so let's go ahead and fill this up with solid water source blocks. I recommend having a way of getting up easily, so you can have that in place while you swim. You will need to place 4 water source blocks each layer, so it's good to bring lots of buckets if you have lots of layers to fill. There. The mobs will be able to swim about 15 blocks up before they start to suffocate. If you need them to go higher, simply place alternating signs for 2 layers. So since there's a sign here, I would place one here, and I would place one here. And that creates air pockets for them to breathe, and you would want to do that every 15 layers or so that they don't suffocate. Okay. Once we have that all set up, we can go ahead and finish joining our water streams. We would want to place a water source block above each of these stairs. And do that for all 4 directions. Just like that. And then it's good to do these corner ones. And do it for both of them. Okay, and so if you were to join your water canal to your 4-way Mobavator, it would work something like this. You'll see there is no dead zones with this method, so the mobs will just keep going, keep going. This diagonal stream sucks them in, and then they swim up, and it works just like that. If you want a killing mechanism to attach on top of this for the tall mobs, you can check out my video, The Sizzler. I'll link it in the description. And I recommend covering these with a solid block. I don't recommend using glass because mobs can't spawn on glass, as far as I know. And that's all there is to it. It's done. Oh yes, I forgot to mention, you might want to fill in your infinite water source if you put one there. It wouldn't really affect it, I don't think, but just in case. The reason why I used signs for these bottom V's instead of pressure plates like I used in my original design is because it's possible to add multiple layers to this 4-way Mobavator, which I will show you how to do now. So this was something a lot of people asked me about my original Mobavator. Is it possible to have multiple layers with it? Yes, it is. I've removed the water here so that you can see how this works. Just in the since we use signs here, we can just have the mobs come up from below and pass straight on through and keep on going up. Is the way this works because these have no collision mask. And so what you would do is you would make your 4-way Mobavator below end at this point here with the solid water source blocks level with the ground here. And if we go down, you'll see I just copied the exact same thing we have above, except it's lower down. So we have our diagonal streams like above, and we would just place our water sources above the stairs. Of course, this isn't set up properly because it's just an example. So I'll just place blocks here. Oops. Very simple, really. Do it for all 4 directions, like the original. And they all meet to the center, then you do the corners. And you can see I have the sign diagonal of this one here. Same with the opposite side. And it just makes a big solid water mass for the mobs to swim up. And then you would fill in your water up here as well. Very simple. Okay, another common question I got about the original 4-way Mobavator quite frequently was, does it work with passive mobs? The one we just built does, although not very well. But with just 2 very simple modifications, we can get it working like the one we see in front of us. And it works with cows, sheep, pigs, and wolves. Does not work for chickens though, because chickens are smaller. They will either get stuck or drown at the base of it. And also the Mobavator does not work for slimes or squid, because those 2 mobs do not swim. So let's go take a closer look at what I have done to make it work. These animals will be in our way. You can see chickens stuck here and lots of feathers from them drowning. Simply that meat there was not from pigs drowning, it's from them falling out of the Mobavator constantly. Let's go to our other example because we can't see anything here. And here we are back at our original Mobavator. So the modification I did to make it work for passive mobs is I just very simply placed a half slab here and one here. And what that does is it raises the passive mobs up half a block, which is just enough to make them able to jump up into our source blocks here, all the easier. And also, if you want, you can get rid of these bottom V's if you're making a passive 4-way Mobavator, and just use half slabs instead. To save on signs. Just like that. There we go. And it sucks them into the center and they jump up and they float up. Or they swim up, I mean. Very simple. So all the Mobavators we've built so far in this tutorial are base 2. They have a 2x2 center. The final thing we're going to consider is how to build 4-way Mobavators with a 1x1 center, which are significantly easier to do. You can see here, we pretty much do the exact same thing. Let's pretend I'm a creeper. The water stream will suck the creeper in to the center point, and the water is being held back using this pressure plate here. And you can see we have signs all around here, so that if we place water above this pressure plate, it's held in place by those signs. And then we would just simply fill up our 1x1 tubing with solid water source blocks to the top, however high we need it to be. Creeper will get in, not touching any arrow keys, swimming up, just like that. So it's pretty simple. If you want it to work for passive mobs, all you have to do is remove this pressure plate and replace it with a half slab, and it'll work for cows, sheep, pigs, and wolves, just like we saw before. But of course, chickens, it won't, and there's a good chance they'll clog up your system unless you separate them out of it first. Okay. Well, that brings us to the end of our tutorial. I hope it's been useful for you and that you can have a lot of fun with these four-way mobavators. Of course, keep in mind that even though we have built four-way mobavators here, there's no reason you can't adjust them to be three-way, two-way, one-way, whatever you need to make your system work the way you want it to. Alright, so thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.